That's awesome. Thank you. Beautiful. Well, welcome everybody. We're so glad to have you here. We'll just start by doing some quick introductions and getting right into the meat and potatoes. So my name is Michelle Harper Kowalczyk. I use she and her pronouns, and I serve as the Associate Director in the Center for Student Involvement. And I'm co-presenting today with Leezel.
Thanks, Michelle. Hi, everyone. My name is Leezel, she, her pronouns, and I serve as the Associate Director of Career Education at the Career Engagement Office. And because the summit is open to folks from across campus, I don't want to assume we all know each other. So please go ahead and share your name, pronouns, and role on campus in the chat feature. Additionally, we would like to acknowledge that Seattle University sits on the traditional land of the first people of Seattle, Duwamish people, past and present, and honor with gratitude the land itself and the Duwamish tribe.
Our goal for today is to gather all of you together to discuss how we can better integrate a common language around leadership and professional formation across campus.
Exactly, Michelle. Now I would like to invite Hillary Flanagan. Oh, I see Hillary. Nice. Executive Director of the Career Engagement Office, to share more about how this work directly aligns with broader campus-wide initiatives.
Thanks, Leezel. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. It's really exciting to see this group gather today. Thanks for making the time to be here. I think it's really important. A special thanks to Michelle and Leezel for their hard work putting all this together. I think it's safe to say that any time at SU is a good time for us to be talking about leadership and professional formation. But I think that now we've actually come to a really critical moment to have this conversation, to be intentional, as you said already, about our language, about our resources, about the opportunities we have for students, and how we as an entire campus come together around leadership and professional formation to really enhance the experiences our students have during their time, during their SU journey. And as you all know, we're in the middle of, or really embarking at the start of, our 5-year strategic plan. I'm one of the 4 co-chairs of the working group on the student experience, and professional formation is one of the 4 major areas that's been identified as one where we think we can have the most impact, we could see the most impact made by really focusing on our efforts in that area over the next 5 years. So professional formation, onboarding, advising, and belonging. And there's a lot of connectivity between those 4 areas. I don't know that there's anything more than that other than the explicit connection between leadership and professional formation being made. I think is just a really important step. So I appreciate, and you'll hear today, that Michelle and Leezel have done a lot of work saying, how do we already approach this on campus? And seeing that the ties are so strong. We're not talking about 2 different things or 2 different paradigms or anything like that. So I'm just really excited to engage in this with you all today. And it definitely connects to everything the campus community put together in the strategic directions document. You see both words repeatedly in there. So looking forward to getting the conversation going. Thanks.
Thank you, Hillary. So if we could get the slide share back up. Perfect. Nice. Okay. So I want to share a quick personal story before diving into the research of why we are doing this work. I first joined Seattle University as a graduate student in the SDA program, where I coordinated leadership programs for the Center for Community Engagement, where I was activating students to care about causes impacting the world around them. This ultimately led to conversations on how to turn their advocacy into a career, or at least how to successfully transition post-graduation into careers that could sustain their activism. And that unlocked for me this larger vision that career development is leadership development. Career development is student retention work, and that career development work is social justice work. The field of university career services is shifting to directly address and promote the social mobility of our students. Leadership and professional formation is an opportunity to break intergenerational cycles of poverty and propel students and their families towards economic security and beyond. Next slide. It's no secret that declining high school graduate numbers means rising enrollment challenges for universities. Prospective students have increasingly indicated that career preparation is a top 3 factor when selecting a college to attend. The EAB explains that incoming students shaped by the 2008 Great Recession worry about degree, return on investment, and/or debt repayment, and it's overwhelming. In response to that reality, the Career Engagement Office has made intentional steps to better integrate with admissions, enrollment, and orientation. Our office, the Career Engagement Office, consistently have to myth bust the relationship between majors and careers, and that careers are nonlinear and your major does not limit what you pursue after you graduate. Next slide, please. The Leadership and Professional Formation Framework will enable students to name how they cultivate their leadership capabilities and career readiness and draw a common thread throughout their SU experience, both in and outside of the classroom. Even as first-year students, early career interventions and positive on-campus employment experiences promote student retention and is considered a high-impact practice. Next slide, please. Oops, one back. Okay, perfect. So lastly, for this section, a Gallup-produced study in 2014 revealed 6 crucial college experiences that increase the likelihood of thriving in 5 areas of well-being after graduation, which totally aligns with SU's mission of educating the whole person. So to summarize their findings, when we express a deep care, support their career success, and ensure students build community while they're here, we can achieve the highest likelihood that alumni leave feeling a stronger affinity for the university and live meaningful lives. Back to you, Michelle.
Thank you, Leezel. So I'm so grateful for their framing. The only piece that I really wanted to hone in and help us focus on is why did we want to bring this to all of us, right? And Leezel has already mentioned some of that importance for students to weave this language and this understanding throughout their time at Seattle U, and that includes all of you. So we're really hoping that by convening today, by sharing a bit about where we came from, these 7 principles that we are planning to use going forward, and starting this conversation around how do we integrate it in our different areas, that we're laying a foundation that will help students in their making meaning of their experience with us, having tools for reflection and metacognition, able to articulate what they have gained as a result of Seattle U. And it provides a stronger foundation for us to collaborate as we're developing our programs and having a greater collective impact. Just helping us to better understand how we work together and what parts we hold individually. So as Hillary mentioned, we talked a bit about our focus or our goal in this was to unearth and provide language that we're already using. What are we already doing? Leadership has been one of our core values of a university. It's in our mission. We know when we started to dig deeper, we know that it's happening everywhere. So rather than trying to come up with common language or a framework out of the ether, we wanted to start with what we have. So this is a bit about our process and the outcomes. You've got links to the final documents, and I'll ask Bernie to put those into the chat as well. So where we started with an audit. This is like an Excel sheet that we created, Google searching, word of mouth, figuring out who is doing leadership formation or experiential learning or career preparation at different parts of campus. In that Excel sheet, we had nearly 300 entries. Like literally, it's happening everywhere. So I worked with Mallory Kester, great graduate intern who now works in our housing and residence life. Together we sent a survey to over 100 faculty and staff to get basic information about the leadership professional formation work that they're doing. We invited all of those folks to have 30-minute interviews. 15 faculty and staff took us up on it from 5 different academic colleges. Additionally, we hosted roundtables with approximately 50 staff in the Center for, in the Division of Student Development. We gathered all of that information and did a literature review of, okay, cool. I have to credit Marilyn Nash with this because she said, okay, cool, now we know what we're doing, but how do we know what we're doing is Jesuit in Ignatian? Great question. So we did a literature review of Ignatian practices, philosophy, basic leadership principles, like, social change model, these sort of frameworks that people go to, our learning outcomes on campus, and really focused in on what our alignment is. And we took a draft of our report. We started to share it around with folks. So we had consultations with the Career Engagement Office, with the Center for Jesuit Education, with the University Corps, with folks in student development, and most recently, the Center for Faculty Development. So what you're seeing here has been sort of the result, the culmination of the consultation, these conversations, and this language. And every time that we show it, we also learn a little bit more about ways in which it can better serve us. So I do want to, when I introduce the framework, I do want to put that in the context that our goal is to create something that serves us and our needs and provides us with direction and guidance. I don't want this to feel like something that we're trying to force and make fit. I'm hopeful that as we're going through, you're already seeing alignment between what you are doing in your work, in your department, work with students, and what you're seeing on the screen. Okay, cool. So I am going to do the slides. We'll talk about the 7 principles. And I want you to go ahead and use those reaction things in Zoom to anytime you see, you're like, oh, yes, we do that. Yes. Or we've talked about doing that. We want to figure out how. Use the reactions just so we can see the synergy and get that energy growing, because I get stoked. So what we came up with is 7 principles. And I'll talk through each of them. And one thing that we've learned as I've sort of put these around to folks is that sharing with students, oh, we have these 7 principles, it can feel kind of big and amorphic. Like, what does that have to do with me? So how I'm going to share them with you is how I'm intending that we're sharing with students moving forward. So we have 7 principles, but they are around 3 guiding questions. So the first question that we ask our students is, who am I? We ask them to ask themselves, I guess. And so those who am I principles, this connects to 2 of our 7 principles. The first is that leadership is grounded in personal values, spirituality, and integrity. That while our students are with us at Seattle University, we expect that they are discerning their personal values and making meaning in their worldview, interrogating the source of those values, growing in their integrity and reflexive skills. We also expect that they're seeing the connections, they're exploring their identities. This is the second principle, that leadership is shaped by personal identity and social location. So if our students have left 4 years with us and they have not explored their identities or examined their social location, we recognize that we're not in alignment with our mission. And we're also asking them that they're able to make connections between values, community, culture, and their assets as a leader, so that spirituality, values, culture, these are not just things that happen, they're also the lens through which we lead. And I think that's one of the ways in which I'm hoping that sharing this with students, they can help to see those connections a little bit easier. All right. So that was the first question. Question 1, who am I? We're challenging our students to get into that. The next question is, what does the world need me to be? So in the original model, you'll see this common good is the center. I oriented it that way because if you look at our mission and our values, there is this like leadership towards a specific thing, a specific outcome, which is the common good. If we're training our students to be leaders, but their direction or the outcome of their leadership is something that is not towards the common good, then again, that's not what Seattle U is about. So it's in the center so that we're keeping that visually as a focus. So encouraging our students, inspiring our students to have an orientation towards others. The second principle that comes under this question, what does the world need me to be, is that leadership is committed to collective and relational practices. I'll share a personal story now, which is that when I came here about 4 or 5 years ago to the university, and I work in leadership programs, and I was talking to people and I heard, to our students, leadership is a dirty word. Because from our society, from the models that they've seen this top-down, hierarchical, patriarchal, white, dominant ways of being a leader, and that doesn't align with our students and who they want to be in the world. So we're saying that's right. It doesn't need to align. Like, there's so many other ways to lead and be collectivist and be relational and and demonstrate empathy and care and collaboration. And we're naming that as leadership, which is powerful, I think, especially many of our students who come in and don't see themselves as leaders because they're like, I'm too empathetic and I care too much. No, you are a leader and it's beautiful. I digress. Is this resonating with folks? I'm not, thank you. So the third question. So we had, who am I? What does the world need me to be? And how am I becoming? So how it's exactly that. This is more like, okay, what are the things that I need to know how to be able to do in order to be competent in whatever my respective field or whatever area in which I'm leading. So we say leadership requires career-ready and transferable skills, things like critical thinking and inquiry, practical skills that are expected for one's field of study. That leadership is practiced in context. This is that Ignatian pedagogical paradigm, like you have to do the thing, right? And so this is experiential learning. And also, when you think about competencies such as decision-making or taking initiative, some of those things you have to do in order to demonstrate that you can do them. And the last one is that leadership is an imagination for what is possible. Our mission is that we're forming leaders for a just and humane world, but the world is not just and humane as it is. We know that. So really what we have to do is we have to be training our students to see a world beyond what is. And we're working with them in their leadership and their professional formation to develop skills for creating change. So that's what that last one, it's can you envision something beyond? And do you know how to like start to create change? Yes, love it. Whew, okay, I'm gonna stop share because I'm just gonna like pause there. My hope in sharing these 7 principles with you is that you are sitting in your seat or wherever you are, and you're like, yes, we're already doing this. Yes, I just didn't have the language for it. This is what's happening. I had a conversation with my academic advising team. So that's my hope. And really, like I said, our goal for today was to share this language, see, does it align? How does that feel? Does it fit? And start to talk about integration. Sorry, things, so many things. Okay. Sorry, I'm thinking about how I want to organize I got like, so, like have you ever seen, you know, like when you're in it and you're like, yes, okay, now I have to like get back to work and like earth and remind myself that we're here. Because that's what happens when you're passionate. So, so much hype. Okay, so here's some things. This is where you all come in, right? Okay, great. We have these principles. I'm hoping every time that I've had a conversation with folks, they've been like, yes, I see this alignment. That makes me so excited. So now what, right? So a couple things. One is in sharing these things with you today, so you have access to those like 2 guiding documents. This is one that like reads like a research paper of, you know, really all the alignment and where that came from. So if you want to geek out with that, do it. This one is really focused on competencies. So you can see underneath each, and I'll zoom in to make it bigger for folks. Underneath each of these like principal pairs, you can see specific competencies that that align. And these competencies come from the work that Leezel and the Center for Faculty Development have been doing. And also the ones that say similar are from like best practices for leadership competencies nationwide. So we're again, like we're blending these things together. And so this is a tool for you as you're thinking about, you know, your supervision, your advising, the events, the exchanges that you have with students, a list of competencies that you can be having in mind. What we are creating, what we're committed to doing, is creating a toolkit that helps you know what to do with this thing. Okay. One of the things that we're hoping that you can help us with is as you're seeing this alignment, you're like, yes, we totally do that. What are the resources that you use to do that? Do you have a go-to? So this is like the toolkit as it exists right now. It's going to be on our website this summer, but things like we have a value sort that we offer in our office. It's housed through Kowalczyk. And it, you know, students click the little things. It is screen reader compatible. You can click next and it's responsive. Oops. So you're able to, then they go through and they rank. So it's exactly the type of things that we would want our students to be doing. We already have that resource and we would love to share that with you. Leezel has created a career ready and transferable skills self-assessment that I know many of our incoming students experienced in their orientation. So challenging our students to be thinking of these things, seeing the alignment early on in their experience with us. So this is another thing that's in the toolkit. And so one of our asks, like I said, will be to give us your stuff that you're willing to share with other people so that we can learn from one another. And we have a handy dandy little form for how to do that. So if you're stoked and you're like, yes, here are 7 things that I already have, then that link is for you. If you're stoked in general, then this next link is for everybody. So we have put together a Padlet of like we just want to hear from you. And I know unmuting in a 50-person call isn't always the best. So we put together a Padlet to collect some of your thoughts. What are the hopes, opportunities, next steps do you see with the creation of this framework? Beautiful. Hope to add a global element. hoping to integrate it into the on-campus student employment experience. Diana, great question. Including graduate students. So we actually included graduate students they were researchers in the back end with me. The faculty that we spoke with, they taught a mix of graduate and undergraduate course. I think Mallory's on the call. I think more of our faculty were at the graduate level because more of our graduate level courses are explicitly like arts leadership. They have leadership in the title. So yes, I would say that we tried to design a thing that works that aligns, and you can also see in the 7 principles document, we did the alignment with both our undergraduate learning outcomes and our graduate ones from the university. So we tried to create a thing that works in our academic realms, in our student development realms, in our co-curricular realms, in our experiential learning at the undergraduate and the graduate level.
I would also add too that the work from the Center for Faculty Development, when they were creating the career readiness and transferable skills competencies, they pulled not only from research or various national professional associations, but they also pulled from and considered our undergraduate and graduate education learning outcomes as well.
Great questions. So other things that we're seeing, a common evaluation to move forward with student leaders, tying academics and student development closer together, meaningful internships for students, common language that advisors across campus, no matter which department, can use with students, especially new students. Building connections across leadership and across avenues, across campus. Beautiful. Mentorship, integrate all pathways for mentorship. Beautiful. Some like academic connections, wanting to see a 1 or 2 credit course option. So we'll keep that open, and we're doing okay on time. So let me sort of walk you through what to expect next. And so I'm hoping that folks have that up on their screen, because I'll minimize and I'll go into the PowerPoint that we have. So this next portion, like I said, our goal is to get us to talk to one another to unearth how can this serve us. So we've created these breakout rooms that are topic based. Sorry, words. So we have one room that'll be dedicated for those that are interested in exploring and collaborating around integration into student employment supervision. And Leezel will be the lead there. Integration into individual and organizational advising. And so that group will be with me. Integration into academic experiences and programs. So we have colleagues from career engagement that are going to be leading that conversation. Integration into student-facing programs, events, or traditions. So maybe you supervise RAs, our resident assistants, and you're thinking, oh, I'm seeing a lot of connection between the programs that they're doing for their student peers. So Danny and Philip are going to be taking lead on that conversation. And then maximizing Red Hat landing for leadership and professional formation. Christian Russell is going to take lead on that. So the next part, we will be going into those breakout rooms, and it'll just be an opportunity for you all to be in discussion together, to share some additional thoughts, resources, and learn from one another on how you want to see it happening. What we've created is a document, a collective knowledge worksheet, where each, we'll see how long it takes it to load on my computer. It's a little tired. So for example, the integration into student employment supervision, here's a section for you all to be recording what big ideas come up in your conversation. What are actionable steps that we want to take moving forward, and additional resources that come up in the conversation. So whichever one you choose, you'll have an opportunity to record your ideas here. Before we break and send you off into those rooms, do you have any questions, things for the good of the order, thoughts that feel important to share?
Michelle, I want to point out for folks that we do have a break and that the breakout rooms will start at 1:15 to 2 o'clock.
Thank you, Joanne. So if we're going to take a little break, turn off your screen, take care of yourself. We don't have any closing after you go into your breakout rooms. So when your conversation is completed, then you're free to go. I will put my information in the chat. Leezel can put her information as well for additional conversation. We want to be a partner to you as you think about this, grapple with this, bring this back to your teams, bring it to your students. And so anything that we can offer that's a little bit more tailored to you, or if any questions that come up, we're happy to respond to. The last thing, like I said, is that the resources that you do submit to us for the toolkit, that those will be, we're compiling those and those should be live by summertime. Great. So let's take a little break as folks get into, make some decisions around their, Laura, great question. So we're experimenting with the join breakout room on your own. So Bernie, we could actually go ahead and open the breakout rooms now, and then you should be able to see a join button. You should see a breakout rooms button at the bottom. And if you click it, do you see a pop-up? Great.
Good call. So maybe join your breakout rooms and then go on your break.
Awesome.
Hi, everyone. Michelle, I'm so sorry. I am running late getting here. I left the student test clinic and I got way late on my way home. So I know we're going into breakout rooms here soon, though.
Yeah. And we're actually, the breakout rooms we're a little ahead of our schedule.
Oh, okay.
So I can give you a little bit of a rundown while folks get settled in the breakout rooms.
Well, I don't want you to have to do extra work for me. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. We're in it together. Okay, so here are some links that I think will be helpful.
Okay.
So the first is, because you've seen our 7 principles document at this point, is that correct? Or
If you've seen it with the iLead stuff, I would have seen it, but
sure. So what we've talked about so far is we've gone into the how we created the 7 principles.
okay.
And so you've seen this diagram, I believe.
Yes.
What's happened since you've seen this, it's been an active about 6 months or so, is that we're shifting the way in which we introduce it to students. So when we introduce it to students, we're orienting it around 3 guiding questions that should look familiar to our folks in campus ministry as well. Katie, it is at the bottom. And if you're not seeing it, then Bernie could also help. If you put in the chat which group you want to be in, Bernie can help get connected there. So who am I? And that's challenging our students to really think about their personal values, their spirituality, their integrity in their leadership and professional formation. That they're recognizing how their leadership is shaped by their personal identity and social location. So that as leadership educators on campus, we can be intentional in developing those. The next question is what does the world need me to be? At Seattle U, we're committed to forming leaders that are oriented towards others and towards the common good. So experiences that instill that as a value to our students. And then also that leadership is committed to collective and relational practices. That the sort of top-down hierarchical, my way or the highway approach to leadership is not aligned with our mission, and that's not the type of leadership that we are seeking to instill in our students.
Right.
I keep using the word instill, I should say, like inspire or something else. How am I becoming is the last question. And so this is the challenging our students to reflect on their skills and their skills development as they're coming through with us. That they're practicing those skills, that it's creating sort of that feedback loop that's present in the Ignatian pedagogical paradigm. And the last is that leadership is an imagination for what is possible, and recognizing that our mission is forming leaders for a just and humane world that doesn't exist. And so if Seattle U is developing leaders and that's our mission for it, then we also have to be intentional about cultivating an imagination for what's possible in our students.
Right.
Because they have to have a vision beyond what's there and seeking to cultivate skills for creating change. So that's the thing. Now we're going into breakout rooms to explore how could we integrate this? Cool, we have a framework, now what? So integrating it into these different areas.
Got it.
So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into my advising group. And
I was going to be in the student-facing programs. I saw someone else was going to, integration in student-facing programs, breakout rooms. So
great.
Can I choose that room, or
you can choose it, or Bernie can?
Oh, I can. It looks like I can choose it. Events tradition. It must be the events traditions. It looks like, yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool. I will join that. Thank you so much, Michelle. My little quick and dirty overview. You're wonderful.
Yeah. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
I'm hopping into my group. Thank you all.
Sounds good. If there are folks still out there that need any help getting into a room, please let me know.